Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And I'm going to have a different ending. I'm going to see how it goes today. I've been thinking about the way I've been ending this program, and I think it's a little too long. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Let me know. Make a comment. Let me know how you feel about the ending of this program. I'm going to switch it up just a little bit, try something new, see if you like that. Wearing the Seahawks. I'm a little bit depressed about what happened, although I'll have to say that the results were good in the sense that the Seahawks offense started cranking. The offensive line did a lot better. They weren't even expected to be nearly as close as they were in the Cincinnati game, and yet they were 17 points ahead going into the fourth quarter. Too bad they couldn't sustain a drive. The defense got a little bit tired. It's kind of a sad loss, but the season is not over. They've gone a little streak here. I know they'll beat Carolina Panthers. I am predicting this coming Sunday the Seahawks will beat the Carolina Panthers 31-21. That's my prediction for that game. Just real quickly, I got in a little battle with a friend of mine who lives in Australia. He's a big New England Patriots fan. I hate the Patriots. I've hated them all my life. Clear back, but before the Seahawks, I was a Steelers fan. And, Seahawks came along, really jumped on that, loved it. We watched all the games when I was a kid, on and on and on. But then Holmgren was hired, and I tell you what, I'm not a Holmgren fan. I can't explain to you why. I just felt they gave him too much credit for what happened with Green Bay. I think a lot of that was Favre and his audibles in the red zone. And Holmgren comes along and acts like everybody talks about what a genius he is. And I know he took the Seahawks to the Super Bowl. I know he did that. It was the worst Super Bowl as far as reffing ever was. But I went on a little bit of a, not anti-Seahawks, but anti-Holmgren. Started kind of rooting for the Colts back in those days. Never quit rooting for Seattle. Just could not deal with that. And he's giving me a hard time about that. But you know what? Holmgren's gone. I promised myself I'd never do that again. That I would never leave my team that I watched in the early days. I remember, some of the things that they called back. I think it was Jack Patera. Yeah. The coach, and some of the things he did were crazy. Anyway, here I go moving the bottles again. So I'm going to change up the ending. I want some comments from you. I'm gaining some traction, getting a few more subscribers. I'm happy about that. I'd like to see more comments. So if you feel like you'd like to comment, and for those of you just kind of lurking around, not really wanting to be a subscriber, it's not that hard. You don't have to you can hide yourself. I have quite a few subscribers that I can't see who's subscribing. So if you're afraid maybe somebody will find you, don't worry about it. You don't have to be exposed. You can use an alias too if you want, if that makes you feel comfortable. But please subscribe. It just helps me gain traction on YouTube, and I'm really looking forward to making this wine program work. I don't want to be 3 years down the road with 50 subscribers. I want people to learn from this program. I do this for education reasons and to help you find wines that are good for certain occasions, just for drinking, whatever it is. That's the purpose of this show. I'm certainly not, I'm going to write a book. I am in the process of writing a book. I will tell you more about that later as I, get it all together and kind of put it together and start getting it edited and all that. And it has to do, of course, with my experience in the wine world. I've been in the wine business a long time. Been a wine steward at the same store for quite a while, but I did a lot of other jobs while I was doing the wine. So, I've gained experience that way. I'm gaining a lot of traction now. I have a lot of, I wouldn't call them fans, but friends who really support me, and I appreciate all of you who are supporting this program. So, some of my episodes are gaining a lot of views, which I really appreciate. I know from some people's standards, maybe it's not a lot. But I live in a small community, a small fishbowl, don't have the outreach that a lot of people have. But I do have a lot of guys on the mainland that are watching this, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would kind of spread the word that there's this wine program out there where you can learn something about different wines. Another thing I'm learning from this program is when I do an episode on certain wines, I'm finding that customers, and thank you, those guys that have come into the store and encouraged me, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Bob, for the encouraging words recently. That means a lot to me. And Dick, I appreciate you encouraging me also. Thank you for watching, by the way. But I do a program, and then it's really kind of cool. These guys come and go, where are these wines? And you know, sometimes when I'm doing these, I'm kind of chugging through, and these are samples that I get from different vendors, and I forget about some of them. Not totally forget, but you know, I don't react right away to bringing them into the store. Other thing is you have to have a place to put them. Of course, I know that. What we're going to talk about today is white blends, and the reason I'm doing that is because it's a weird phenomena in my store, and I don't know if it's, you know, regional, globally, whatever it is, but white blends are having a hard time gaining traction, gaining popularity, holding on in the market. I find that the sections kind of grew for a while, and then it shrunk, and then it grew, and now it's shrinking, and people are dropping their, Ross Andrews just dropped off the Meadow White, which is kind of disappointing. That was a great white blend. And it's funny because a lot of the white blends from France are now taking hold, and for a long time they didn't. When I say white blends, I'm talking about, you have some from the Côte d'Rôme Blancs that are blends of different white grapes. You have, obviously, Bordeaux, where they make Semillon Sauv Blanc white blend. And a lot of Washington, California wines are doing the same thing. They're doing these Semillon Sauv Blanc blends that are really good. But for some reason they're having trouble gaining traction. Now, some of it could be pricing. I will admit that. Some of the prices are a little bit steeper than white Bordeaux, but there's some very expensive white Bordeaux also. And then I'm also going to do one from Southwest France because I just think these wines are really cool. And the reason for this partially too is next month is Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of you guys don't like to think about it. In fact, I one time sent out a feeler to Twitter about something about a holiday that was still a month away, and everybody thought I was insane. But that's just the way I roll. I like to think way ahead, and you know, it's coming a lot quicker than you think. So, you know, you're doing turkey, you're doing fowl, you're doing these things. Anytime you're having chicken, you know, you're going to go to a white wine. In most cases, not always, but in a lot of cases you're going to go to white wine. What are you going to go to? Well, one of the areas I like is Côte de Gascogne, which is in southwest France, and they do some awesome wines, and they use some grapes that maybe a lot of us haven't heard of. And actually, whenever I feature these wines at the store, they do really well, and most of it's price point. This is the Domaine Charolais Très Blanches, so 3 white grapes, Côte de Gascogne, Southwest France, 2013. This rolls in at $11. So right away, right off, you can see the price point is a big deal. 11 bucks, good deal. There you go, there's the label. I'm having trouble with the focus on further away, so I'm going to work on that. This is, excuse me, 50% Gros Manseng, 40% Sauvignon Blanc, 10% Uni Blanc. Probably the only grape in there that you're familiar with is Sauvignon Blanc, but Uni Blanc and Gros Manseng are great varietals. They make great wines. So let's see what we get here. And you talk about wines that are good with turkey, good with chicken, good with Asian food. I know a lot of you haven't given up on Asian food yet. Actually, it's sunny outside right now, which is kind of cool. Let's see what we get on the nose. So a lot of melon right off the bat. Interesting kind of a whetstone meets herbs, like dried herbs. Yeah, a lot of whetstone on this one. And the dried herbs are kind of cool. You know, it's kind of like dried thyme, dried basil. Melon big time, a lot of melon, a little hint, just a hint of banana. And by the way, I wonder what, this is a curiosity to me. I might write an article about this on my blog. Why banana is such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Why that turns people off when you put that on tasting notes. I'm just not sure exactly why that is the case, but it happens a lot. This is just a hint of banana. Let's see what we get on the palate. I love these wines. They're zesty, good acidity, not as high as acidity as the Sauvignon Blanc, let's say from New Zealand or the Sancerre, but still good acid, nice lemon lime meets herbs, meets crouch rock, meets whetstone. Really, all those elements are there. I really like this wine. So, you know, the beauty of this wine is you could just sit there and watch your favorite TV series, movie, whatever you're watching on TV. You could sit and sip this. It's a delicious factor, but it's certainly serious. Acidity would make it great with shellfish, be a good chicken wine, be a good pasta sauce with a cream sauce, be great with some really pungent cheese, maybe some, not too pungent, don't get me wrong, mild cheeses. This would be really good. Too much acid really it wouldn't match up too well with a Gruyere or something like that. But it would be good with a mild blue cheese. It would be good with you know, some cheddars, different things like that. Nice little cut grass component coming through and some white flowers. I'm going to go B on that. I think it's a great, $11, great value. You can't pass it up. Now, we're going to move on to Sophia Cellars, the Jack. Sophia Cellars is out of Walla Walla, and they do a series of wine called the Jack. Rich Funk is coming up to the island in a couple of months to do a tasting. We're going to feature his wines. So this is the Jack white wine. And this is, again, the category I'm talking about, whereas a Gros Mincing, a Côte de Gascogne will do well, a Bordeaux Blanc will do well, but yet these whites from Washington or California are struggling just a little bit. And I don't know if that's just a local phenomena or one that is out there for everyone. I'll give you a picture of the label first off. Okay. So there's the label. And I have a Sophia Cellars white blend, their mainline stuff. This is $12, okay? So we're right in that ballpark, same area. 45% Semillon, 40% Sauvignon Blanc. Obviously, you're going Bordeaux style. And a little bit of Marsanne, 15% Marsanne, which is a Rhone varietal. So let's see what we get on the nose. Very floral. I got a lot of white flowers coming through. I get that melon component and just a hint of apple. A lot of you are going to like this nose. It's just one of those ones that really smells pleasant. Has that kind of melon, white flower thing going on. A little bit of pitted fruit. Just a hint. I get a little bit of peach pit coming through. Interesting, it reminds me a little bit of bubble gum, but it's not a huge part of it. Just get a little bit of that bubble gum component coming through. A little bit of honey too. Let's see what we get on the palate. Interesting wine. It's like melon meets some sort of a nut, like an almond or walnut. A little bit of white flower coming through. A lot of melon notes. A little bit of pear. That's what I'm getting. Just a hint of pear, and that pear kind of rounds it out. You know. So you know, have you ever bitten into a ripe pear? It gives it that roundness, but it's very slight. So it took me a minute or two to kind of, a few seconds to kind of figure that out. I get some apple notes coming through. Nice balance on the palate, very seamless across the palate. not high in acidity. This is a little bit lower, but I really think this is a beautiful turkey wine because it doesn't have an aggressive acidity. It has a nice full, that kind of apple meets pear meets melon meets white flowers, that whole thing really makes it nice, and the finish is lingering quite a bit. I'm kind of encouraged by that. This is the first time I've tried this wine. I looked on their website to find the composition, and it wasn't on their initial website where they have all their Jack wines. I think it's fairly new. I believe it's fairly new to their portfolio. Kudos to them for getting into that, jumping onto that, even though I find it kind of disappearing. I hope it doesn't. I hope we can pull those white blends back into the mix because they're really good. This is a great turkey wine, by the way. $12. Now, you know, when I'm doing a Thanksgiving dinner, it's really weird, but the group that I invite, my family, the only one that drinks wine, my son drinks a little bit, not his first choice. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she definitely likes wine, and so she's the one. Her and I drink the wines, so it's kind of weird to have the, and of course my son-in-law, Chris, also is getting into wine more and more. So, you know, but we're not getting together this year because they both have to work like the day after. It's kind of, they live not too far from here, but still, you know, it's a ferry ride, all that stuff. Okay, let's move on. The Jack, I'm going to go B on that one. Yeah, I'm going to go B on that one because I think I like the balance. I like it still. I can still taste it. That's a good quality thing. Not an ageable wine. I would not think about aging this by any stretch. It has just enough acid to keep it going for food, but it's certainly a wine that you want to drink fresh and new. So there you go. Now we're going to move on to Savaya Cellars Star Meadows Columbia Valley White Wine 2013. This rolls in at $21. There you go. I'm excited to have Rich up. Oh yeah. Put this out in the front. Okay, this is 51% Sauvignon Blanc, 49% Semillon. So again, a white Bordeaux style wine. And I say style because you're not going to get white Bordeaux out of Washington State. New World, Old World. Bordeaux has its definite qualities that affect the wine, and same with Washington. So they're going to be different. The composition of the fruit is the same, but the style will be definitely different. Let's see what we get on the nose. Very bubblegum on the nose, this one. Big time. Yeah, it's like peach pit meets melon meets bubblegum. Yeah, it reminds me of bazooka bubblegum. Not Bubblicious or Bubblegum, but bazooka, you know, that kind of low-key sort of bubblegum smell. A little bit challenged. The Jack has a little bit more going on, a little more perfume than this one. I get a little bit of apples and pears on this one also. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very typical of Washington Whites, you get a lot of apples. A lot of apples come through on this with the underlying pear notes. More acid on this one than the Jack, and I would venture to say that this one will age for up to 5 years. Nice flow, and it's got a very piercing element right at the end. But by the same token, it's not too much acid to go with turkey or something like that. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to push you into Thanksgiving. I'm not trying to go there. I just wanted to do a white blend episode because I see a trend away from white blends, and yet I see a trend towards French white blends. And I just kind of trying to wrap my brain around that. So I wanted to do this. And by the same token, I know none of you guys, at least most of you, are not thinking about Thanksgiving. I don't blame you. Time goes by too fast as it is. I know that. But I'm just putting a seed in your mind. You know, it's a month a month and a half away. Well, actually a month away, you'll be planning for it. And I know that wine is the last thing on people's list, except for those guys that have cellars, like myself. I don't have a big cellar. It's not elaborate. It's not temperature controlled. I have it in a spot that stays the same temperature. But what I'm saying is that, you know, I know kind of store stuff away for particular occasions. So that's what I do. I think the Star Meadows is a great play. I am going to have to bring that in the store. You heard it, Matthew. It's a great bottle of wine. And this has a dried herb component on it, which I really like, and just a hint of wet stone. So if you're going to get close to Bordeaux, this gets fairly close, a little brighter fruit, more apples and pears than you'll get out of Bordeaux for sure. But and good, I mean, like almost like a lemon essence coming through on the finish. Good wine. I'm going to go B+ on that one. And yeah. Don't give up on white blends. They're very, very good. I know a lot of you are going to Europe for those white blends, but look home for them. They're really good. So here goes. Let's try this ending. See if you like it. Remember, wine is not about the outside. It's the juice inside. Don't let the label influence you. It's all about your palate. Not mine, not Parker's, not anyone else. It's about your palate. And always, always try to spend your wine dollars wisely. Thanks for watching.